Hey everybody, welcome back. So you're probably out looking for a slider and you stumbled across this thumbnail and it probably stood out to you because it looks astounding. Just kidding. But I wanted to share with you some thoughts and ideas about this new GVM slider that I just picked up. So if you're interested in a motorized slider, this is the 31-inch from GVM, and let's talk about it. Oh, and before I forget, if you're into anything media related, whether it be photography, videography, drones, YouTube studio builds, or all equipment related for tech reviews, then please consider subscribing, hit that like button, notification bell, and now that I've got all of that out of the way, let's move on. All right, so let's take a moment and check and see what's all in the bag here. And you have this nylon, very sturdy nylon case. And then of course you open it up and you've got the actual slider itself. And it's a 31-inch GVM slider. And of course it's tucked in there pretty well. But now there's the slider itself. You're going to get a small Allen wrench and an extra pulley belt for the motor, just in case you break the other one. And you will also have the battery. It's a GVM, great video maker. So a little extra added touch there. Look at that. They printed their logo on the actual battery, and it's an NPF 750/F770. Plug it in the wall, you're good to go. So nice touch there. And then you're going to have a lot of cables. Now this is the remote control cable. One USB on one end and then the other that goes into the slider. And then of course your remote control. So USB into the remote control, and then the other end plugs into the back of your slider. Set that off to the side for a second. And a handful of cables that they give you. Now, I'm just going to show you a picture of each one of them. I don't have all of the cameras. There's not a breakdown. They're not labeled on what camera they go to, but if you have a particular camera that you recognize the adapter for it. These are for time-lapse and controlling your camera from the remote control. So you can set up the timing of your remote control, and we're going to do that here in a few minutes. Set up the timing with your remote control and your shots on your camera, and it'll control it. And here's the other one. And there's another one. Looks like a micro USB, kind of. It's a little bit longer. And you have, this is a Canon, because I recognize that because that's what I'm using. And then another one looks like a Sony adapter. I have used Sony before, and I could be wrong. Don't hold me to it, but I'm showing you close up so you know what cord works with your camera. And then the extension cable itself, so you can get away from the shot a little bit, and you have all of your cables. And for now, just to give you an idea of how well it works, I'm going to go to manual mode, and I'm going to turn the speed up to 100%. That way you can see how fast the actual slider works with the remote, and then I'll manually control it. So we're going to go this way. And we're going to control it to go the other direction. And then back to the center and stop. And you notice that it doesn't stop abruptly. It actually stops with a little bit of cushion so it doesn't jar the camera and make sure that you have the smoothest footage possible. Now, a couple of accessories that I also suggest that you get with this is a fluid head. And I'll drop a couple links down below for you to check out some of the more inexpensive budget type and a couple of very popular ones. And this one here is by Avella, and I bought this separately from everything else because of course I wanted to be able to have a quick change plate on the top and be able to adjust the pan, because if you see there when you're sliding back and forth and you want to be able to control the up and down or left or right, you turn that, and it'll easily just turn left and right as you're connected to your slider. Another complement to the slider is a Z-stand. You can also find a link below to a couple, but the one I have here is more suited towards my Canon M50 due to its weight. I'll need to find a stronger one that can hold the slightly over 3 pounds of Canon EOS R paired with my Tamron 24-70. But as you can see, you can achieve many more angles with this handy piece of equipment. But I'm going to lock it into place because I'm going to show you also how to set up the slider itself per the different angles. Now, you want to unplug the power to the actual gimbal when you're setting it up. It won't move if your remote control is powered on and you have the cord plugged into it. But the angle control knobs on the side, they can be used to control the rotation of the camera. You'll just have to keep adjusting them until you're happy with that point of focus so you can achieve that smooth, steady shot of your subject. And after I finally got everything adjusted right where I wanted it, I was able to achieve this shot. I know, mind-blowing, right? But your viewers want to see different angles and perspectives, and this is just another tool to help you express your creativity. So keep up the good work. But the last thing I want to talk about is the remote control. It is very simple to use, and it's got a root menu that in order to get to it, all you have to do is hold down the center button and it takes you right back to the root menu. Doesn't clearly say that anywhere, so it took a little bit of messing around with it to figure that out. But you have the video shots, and when you hit the video shot, you've got manual mode and auto mode. Manual mode, you can pan back and forth, left and right with the slider at your own leisure and create those shots that you want. And then the auto mode, under a loop especially, if you hit auto mode, you can do auto stop or auto loop. And under the auto loop is that start and stop setting that you set up. That's why I say don't turn off the remote control, because if you do, it's going to automatically reset. So once you set up your start and stop points, leave them alone. Try not to turn it off until you're done with your project. And now the crazy one is the time lapse. And under the time lapse, you have your intervals, your time lapse itself, the stop time, and how many photos. Now there's a lot of time lapse calculators that you can find on the internet and tutorials on YouTube, so I'm not going to bore you with that, but once you get those right settings, you know how big either your file size is going to be or how long the duration of the video that you want is going to be. My very first one was absolutely horrible because I had the camera going all over creation and it went left and right and panned the sky, and I thought it was going to be pretty cool, and it looked terrible. And so I kept checking up on it thinking that the camera couldn't see me, and it did. My head kept popping in the screen, seeing everything. It was just a nightmare. What a terrible way to go. Now that I know how to focus the camera on one certain point and pan back and forth and go a lot slower, I'm able to get a nice smooth time lapse. Also, while you're doing interviews and you do a nice slow pan left and right with your camera focused in on you, then you can create some new depth and creativity of your interviews. So you can take your A-roll to the next level and increase your viewer count. And again, thanks for watching. I hope you appreciated this and you got a little bit of something out of it, and it helped sway your decision whether or not you needed a motorized or manual slider. So if you actually did get something out of it, please consider subscribing, like button, notification bell, and I'll see you all next week. Be safe.